Namaskar friends, myself Vikram Talwar. Welcome all of you on your own YouTube channel Astro Journey, a Divine Voice. Carrying forward the discussion of BHRIGU NANDI, the series we are covering since last 9 episodes. This is the 10th episode in the series. In this series, we are going to discuss about the transit of planets. How to blend the transit of planets with the static astrology. How we can connect the transit of planets with the individual native chart. And by connecting this, how we can conclude about a future prediction, or you can say timing of event. This is a very important concept in BHRIGU NANDI that we need to know if we want to analyze a chart effectively and make a future prediction, or we want to time an event in individual's life. What are the basic rules that one need to know about connecting of transit with native chart? So before starting our discussion, I would like to request my viewers to please like, share, and subscribe my channel. And let's start our discussion now. Friends, as we all know that your birth chart is the picture of position of planets during the time of your birth, and any events that is going to happen in your life is recorded in that birth chart. But to know about the timing of that event, we need to know how to blend the transiting planets with the natal planets, right? As we all are aware that the planets are always in motion. The native position of the planet in any native chart is the static part of astrology, which promises various type of events in one's life according to the various combination and yogas occurring in that birth chart. But when those yogas are going into play, when those yogas are going to happen, when the important events in individual's life going to take place, that is the key, that is the matter of curiosity for all the individuals. Everyone wants to know his future, and that's why they contact astrologer, because sometimes they want to take important decisions of life like marriage, starting a new business, investing huge amount of money in new ventures. Like somebody's want to know about child's birth. But very interestingly, if a astrologer don't know how to blend the transiting planets with the native's birth planet, then it is very difficult for the astrologer to tell the client about the timing of a particular event, or that event is going to take place or not. So friends, as we all know, that's if first Jupiter is in the next house to moon, it gives us the prosperity. And if there is Saturn, the native do overthinking and it gives sorrow to the individual. That is the promise in the birth chart. Do you think that native always keep on getting the wealth, or a native who has taken birth on this planet having a Saturn adjacent house to the moon always give him a lot of sorrows throughout his life? The answer is big no. All these kind of events or all these kind of situations going to happen in individual's life when the transiting planets are going to be aspected or going to make some combination or conjunction with the natal planets. If the transit planet is not making any connection or aspect or conjunction with the natal planets, then no significant event is not happening in individual's life. The major events only took place in someone's life if the transiting planets make any connection, conjunction, or combination with the natal planets. This is an important rule we need always need to remember when we are analyzing a particular chart for telling them about the timing of an event in future. Okay, and the planet which set a stage for any major event in someone's lives are always slow moving planets like Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu, and Saturn. As far as we all know that Jupiter is Jiva Karaka for males in BHRIGU NADI. Jupiter also represents about dharma. Jupiter represents about the free will of a person. What a person desire according to the position of the Jupiter in transit and the Jupiter in the native's chart, and how and in which sign the transiting Jupiter is getting the aspect of the natal planets of the individual's chart. Okay, Jupiter indicates the desire and ambition of a person according to the nature of the planet aspecting from the birth chart. And we all know at the same time Saturn is the karma karka. We call Saturn as a chief justice or a karka of karmas, chief justice in Vedic or in traditional classical astrology. But Saturn is called karma karaka in BHRIGU NADI and other forms of astrology without any dispute, all having a same opinion about it. But Saturn represents the fate of a person. Saturn will give results to the individual according to the karmas performed in the previous birth. If the karmas performed in the previous birth are good, he or she will get good results. And if the karmas are bad, he or she will get bad results. Okay. And when the effect of the planets will be felt only when the transit planet and the planets in the birth chart interact with each other. If the transit planet is not associated or aspected by the natal planet, then there will not be any significant or major event in person's life. Actually, the Kartatva result of aspecting natal planet will be felt when the transit planet, especially Saturn or Jupiter, receives such an effect. And before giving any prediction or telling about any event to the native, there are few things that astrologer must keep in mind, like the age of the native, country where the native is living in, situation, time, and the conditions of the society and the native. All these things, when you sum up and take into consideration about all these things before giving any prediction, it will result into an accurate and more effective analysis of a individual's chart. Like, take an example, if the Jupiter is aspected by the Venus, like transiting Jupiter is aspected by natal Venus, there are chances that a person may get married. But this result is applicable only to the unmarried person. If you see, if somebody is already married and this combination, and planets are always moving around in the sky. Transit is always there, the movement in the planet is always there, and Jupiter many times come in contact with the natal Venus. Is there always a marriage? No, we cannot say like this. If a person is married and he's young, you can say that there may be a birth of a girl child in the native's house. Okay. And illustrating my example further, suppose if the transiting Jupiter is interacting with the Mercury in natal chart, there are chances of person that he or she may perform very well in studies, or may think about learning something new, or indulge into some educational or learning activities. But if we give such kind of prediction to a 2-year child or a very, very old person, it may not be applicable. Therefore, while giving a prediction, we must take the age of a person into consideration. Okay, and I would always also like to explain that how a transiting planet affect the natal planets in the birth chart. Suppose if any planet is there in the Aries sign and any planet is transiting in the same sign, the person will get 100% effect of that planet. The intensity of the result will be 100%. But if transiting planet is in the second to the natal second house, with respect to the natal planet, the intensity of the effect will be 75%. Similarly, if it is in the third house, that intensity will be 50%. If the transiting planet is in 5th or 9th house, the intensity of the effect will be 75%. Okay. And if the planet is there in 7th or 11th house, the transiting planet is transiting from 7th or 11th house with respect to the natal planet, the effect will be again 50%. By mistake, I had written 70% in here. I will correct it, but it is 50%. If the planet is transiting in the 12th house to the natal planet, then the effect will be 25%. We will also discuss about 3 more examples where I will try to explain how a transiting planet interacts with the natal planets and what are the outcomes of that interaction, and how we can predict about the timing of event in the native's life. But these are very simple examples. I am just discussing these examples here just to clarify this concept in a better way for my viewers. You see here, this chart is of a native of Mesha Lagna. Saturn is in the Lagna. Second house is occupied by Mercury and Sun. Third house is occupied by Mars. Fourth is occupied by Venus. Ketu is in the 5th house. 6th house is occupied by Moon. 11th house is occupied by Rahu. 7th house again is occupied by Jupiter. And when we see in the native's birth chart, Jupiter transit in the 12th sign. Okay. It from the natal Venus, the Jupiter is in the 9th house. If you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So Jupiter is in the trine with respect to the natal Venus position. So what event will take place in native's life? The event is the native will get married. The marriage will take place. Let us discuss another example. In this example, Saturn, this is again a Mesh Lagna Kundli. These are very simple example. I am discussing this example merely to give a better understanding of the concept for my viewers. You see, Saturn is in the Lagna, first house. 4th house is occupied by Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Mars. 5th house is occupied by Jupiter and Moon. Ketu is in the 6th house. 7th house is empty. This is a typing mistake, so don't take it into consideration. And the 12th house is occupied by Rahu. As you see, the natal Saturn is in trine to Jupiter and Moon. Now, Sun is in the 4th house. If you see, Sun is giving the results of Moon, and Moon is aspected by the Saturn. And you see, there is an exchange between Sun and the Moon. So you can also consider Sun here is in the 5th house. So Sun is also making a connection with the Saturn. So there is a possibility when there is a combination constituting Saturn, Jupiter, Sun, there is a high possibility of a person getting a government job as per BHRIGU Nandina. So what we will see here, when the transiting Saturn is transiting from the 9th house, is making a connection with the Saturn and Jupiter and Moon, right? So what event is going to take place in native's life? The native is going to get the government job, because transiting Saturn is getting the aspect from the Jupiter, Moon, and Saturn. But as there is Moon also, Moon is aspecting the Saturn. When Moon aspects the Saturn, there are chances that the person may change his living place due to his profession. Because in the natal chart, you can also see there is a connection between Saturn and the Moon. Moon is in the trine to the Saturn. So what will happen? The native will get the government job, but the native will get the appointment at a different place. He or she will not get the appointment at his native place. Will get their posting at a different place, at a far place from their hometown. And you can also say that native changes his place of living. And why it is happening? Due to by the virtue of his or her profession. So this is the second example. It is a simple example, and here again we try to understand the concept in a better way. Like transiting Saturn is aspected by Saturn, Jupiter, Moon. And you can also consider Sun there, because Sun is in with exchange with Moon. Okay. We will take one more example. Here the transiting Saturn is in the 11th house. as we all know that 11th house is the house of our rewards or our daily income. But the natal Saturn is placed in the 9th house. This kundli is again a Mesh Lagna kundli. Here, Sun is in the 3rd house, 4th house is occupied by Mercury and Moon, 5th house is occupied by Venus and Mars, 6th house is occupied by Rahu, in 7th house there is Jupiter, and 12th house is occupied by Ketu. Now, see, this Saturn is under the influence of Mars. Mars is aspecting the transiting Saturn with the 7th aspect. And we know that Rahu and Ketu always transit in a retrograde motion. When the Ketu is transiting in a retrograde motion, you see that Ketu is in the next house to transiting, the natal Ketu is in the 2nd house to the transiting Saturn. When natal Ketu is in the 12th house, we know that Ketu and Rahu always transit in a retrograde motion. So retrograde planet always aspect the 12th house from them with a 50% strength. As this natal Ketu is aspecting Saturn, any planet second to the transiting planet or any planet placed second to the planet we are considering gives 75% effect on that planet. So there is a effect of Ketu also. So what is the result? And at the same time, Venus is also aspecting the Saturn and the natal Saturn and transiting Saturn. So what is the result? The native faces a lot of difficulties in earning his bread and butter or in his income or in his daily income. His finances got disturbed due to the effect of the Mars and the effect of the Ketu on the transiting Saturn. At the same time, if you also see, natal Sun is also aspecting the transiting Saturn. When Sun aspects the transiting Saturn, the native feels low in confidence. But due to the effect of Venus on the transiting Saturn, somehow the native manages to pull on his life and got some money from other sources due to the effect of Venus on the transiting Saturn. So friends, here we had discussed how the transiting planets are to be judged when with respect to the natal planets in the birth chart, and how we can conclude about the major events going to take place in one's life. So here I had put on an effort to clarify this concept for my viewers. If you like my efforts, please do like, share, and subscribe my channel. Namaskar.